Hey, welcome back. We're going to be talking about Goblin Slayer today. One of my favorite animes of this season. It's just really well done. A lot was revealed in this episode 8. You got to peek behind the cover and a lot more about, the Goblin Slayer's, how he came to be. And, you knew there was something after the last few episodes, there was something mysterious about him. Well, now you're getting to see, he was evidently, ends up in this cave and he's more or less being, doing this almost like this audition thing. He's being presented with riddles and life and death type riddles. And eventually you get to see that it's some kind of some kind of goblin looking monster guy. I'm going to say he's a goblin, which is ironic. The Goblin Slayer was possibly trained by a goblin. Maybe he's a troll. He has kind of like a green goblin-ish look about him, like an elder goblin. But obviously he's speaking, so there's something up with this dude. He's he's obviously supernatural. He just it's pretty cool. It really piques your interest and makes you want to learn more. There's a lot. There's many. He's like the Goblin Slayer is like an onion. He looks simple at first glance, but as you start watching more and more about the character becomes known, he's literally really complex. He's got many layers. He's just a really interesting character. I can't wait to find out more about this. His teacher. Obviously, this is the guy that taught him to be the Goblin Slayer. And I love this episode because, you obviously start off right off the bat. It's like a bed scene. And you get to see the Goblin Slayer out of his armor. Because I don't believe, other than being younger, you've never been able to see the Goblin Slayer out of his armor. And he has one, he's almost like Daredevil or Batman. He's literally covered in scars. He's been through all these battles. He's been scarred to hell and back. These goblins have really lit into him. But, of course, as they're naked, the Goblin Slayer woke up, naked next to the Priestess, which is obviously naked, which kind of makes you think, oh, hey, what went on? Good on you, Goblin Slayer. I knew you could do it, but it's obviously, and she's obviously very clearly naked. Well, of course, then the Sword Maiden comes in. She very beautiful. Without her blindfold, she is a beautiful woman. More or less find out that, yes, she's got a thing for the Goblin Slayer as well. All these women are really just, the Goblin Slayer is a bad boy. He's a loner. They're literally really drawn to this guy. And, obviously, she kind of tells and hints that, they've hinted before that she's been, messed with, had a previous run-in with goblins in her past, and because she more or less says, look, I'm not a virgin anymore. And there's some kind of thing that went on that kind of, if you sleep with two virgins, you can, or a virgin, some kind of spell that the priestess can do that it healed him. Now, obviously, the priestess is a virgin, but she more or less just outright says, look, I'm not a virgin anymore. I've had a run-in with goblins, and she more or less is kind of really throwing herself at the Goblin Slayer. She's really got a thing for him. She's really opening up to him. You can really see that she really does. She has feelings for him. But he obviously does not. He doesn't dislike her. He just doesn't I don't like you that way. He's anyway, she more or less says, well, we healed you, moving on. Well, it wasn't like that, but she more or less gets the hint, okay, you're not interested, but we share a past, in our past, we've had run-ins with goblins, and they've more or less set our lives up, and we share that. So she leaves the room, and then of course the priestess wakes up, and you can kind of tell she's embarrassed. So that lets you know right away that she didn't do anything with the Goblin Slayer. And obviously still a virgin, so in case you're wondering. But The Goblin Slayer says, like, I love the joke, like, did you see me? Yeah, I seen you. Like, like whatever. Like, yep, I seen you. She's like, oh, okay. Like, and then the other guys come in, and they're all like, like kind of ragging the priestess, and like, oh, you were like, oh, please help him, help him. You're like, what High Elf is, she more or less, she also likes she likes to antagonize people, but that's why I kind of love her character. But they really care about the Goblin Slayer. They, we more or less find out that that they were waiting for him to wake up before they eat, because they wanted to make sure he was all right, and also that was our promise, and that was brought up that they had made that promise. So then later we get to we get to see something that's rare. The Goblin Slayer just kind of, almost like on a date. He's kind of like, going to stores. He's going shopping with the priestess. It feels like a date. It may not be a date, but to me, it kind of had that feel to it, And obviously, the Goblin Slayer, I'm getting the idea that he really does like the priestess. He in this episode, you really get to see that. He kind of lets his guard down a little. He's slowly adjusted to having her around. And I love the part where he tells the priestess, like, your armor's damaged. Go get some new armor. And she's like, no, I like this armor because you complimented it. And she's really still, even more in love with the Goblin Slayer. And even the guy at the thing, when he's going to repair it, like, it would be cheaper just to buy new armor. Like, why are you repairing this? He's like, no, I want this repaired. So it's like, they're all like, okay. And I love it when the Goblin Slayer, they see us, like, when they realize that he's a high-ranking, what do you call it, his little dog tag, they're like, oh my God, you're like you're a silver tag, or, they just, that was really cool. It's almost like, like you're A class, you're first class, mister. And sure enough, he, once his repairs done, and he, plops down money, like, fix this. Well, it's going to cost some money. Well, here's some more money. Like, fix it right now. I'm like, oh, okay. You just went to the top of the list, mister. Because he's got all this money, and all he ever does is uses it pretty much to, fight goblins. And we get to see, of course, it really turns into a date that the Goblin Slayer and the priestess, more or less, they eventually go around town and they find some ice cream. And they get to enjoy ice cream, and that's a pretty touching scene. And also, we learned that the priestess is kind of, kind of adjusting to the Goblin Slayer. She's almost like she's kind of got a girlfriend-ish persona now, because he's even like cracking jokes, getting onto him, hearing him out, listening to his stories and stuff. Getting to learn more about him. And I love these scenes where she even kind of gets snarky with him. She's adjusted to him, and they've been around each other and so many battles now that she's almost like, she's like a girlfriend. She gets like telling jokes and cracking jokes with him. She's really more comfortable. I enjoy that, how her character is behaving around him, because he's such a badass character. He's so, like one-linerish that, he's a hard shell to crack, and she obviously has cracked that shell and got him to open up a lot. And even other characters have already noticed, like, that these two are getting really close. And even, like, make jokes about that. I thought that was pretty cool. And obviously the Goblin Slayer's got something in mind, which we find out later when he's carrying this bag, of, the flour, and he has a plan. And that's one thing I like about him. He's a planner. He has a plan A through Z on how to, like, destroy and ruin a goblin's day. And of course, they're going back, and they go into and presented with this new monster. And I thought this monster was awesome, the one-eyed monster. That's almost a joke in itself. But this thing is, like, super dangerous. The thing was, like, shooting lava out of his eye. And it is really a major monster to contend with. And but of course, they kind of, as usual, they become a team. Each one kind of steps in and kind of uses their abilities, and they slowly kind of wear the monster down. And eventually, the monster is just blown up by the flower and plan that the Goblin Slayer has, and I love the scene where they're just standing over the charred monster. You know, it's dead, and they're kind of poking around it. Like, well, yep, we killed it. There it is. But then they realize that there's even a bigger mystery. Like, this thing was guarding something, and that thing is a large ass, weird, mysterious mirror looking thing. And that's how the episode more or less ends, with them kind of looking up and saying, why is this here, and why is this thing guarding that? So now you're presented with a new cool mystery of why that was there, and how they're going to deal with that in the next episode. So I really enjoyed this episode. Like I said, there's so many cool parts to it. I enjoy like the more or less the Goblin Slayer taking some time off. You know, the fact that he kind of slept with the Priestess, even though he didn't sleep with the Priestess, he kind of did. He got to, and it was like I said, everything in this episode was really well done. It's as usual. I really enjoyed this show, and I can't wait for the next episode, and that would be episode 9. So till next time, that's all. I'm just doing a quick recap of this episode, the things I liked, the things I hated, just talk about things, and I hope you enjoyed these things too, and I hope you enjoyed these episodes. So far, I've been doing this anime and a couple other animes, and these animes have been episodes and recaps have been pretty popular. But again, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, please subscribe. That helps let me know that and helps make it easier to do more episodes in the future. That's all for now. Until next time, keep watching anime and reading comics. Catch you later.